We did through Act 3, Scene 1, so we're going to try and finish Midsummer Night's Dream today. It'll be close. So we pick up with 3-2. And when my wife and I first saw this at the Globe in 2002, this was a production I referred to the other day. It's just by far the best production I've ever seen, and they didn't film it. A lot of Globe things are filmed, and then they released them several years later. This is one they didn't. The guy who was playing Oberon and Theseus, he's got to be on IMDb. He may not be. I only do stage stuff. His name is Paul Higgins. I think that was his name. But he's a Scottish actor, real good looking, and really thick Scottish accent. Okay? And I'll tell you right now, my wife loves Scots. Her dad played bagpipes, and they'd go to Highland games all the time and stuff. And for this production, we'd seen 2 or 3 plays that year. For this production, we got groundling tickets. You know, groundlings are the people who stand in the yard. And because I'd been to the Globe before, I knew, if you're going to get groundling tickets, you better get there early. Not to get the tickets, but you better get there early so that you're at the front of the doors of the actual Globe Theater, not the outside part where you can go in and go to the bookstore and use the restroom, all that kind of stuff. But for the actual theater itself, you better be at the front of the line so that when they open the doors, you can rush in so that you can get right at center stage. Okay? Globe looks like this. Stage is like this. You want to be here. Why? Because you see everything. Big columns here and here to support the roof overhanging. So you don't want to get stuck over here because you're going to miss some of the action that occurs over here and things like that. So we got there early enough so that we could get front and center. And my wife's pretty short, 5'1", 5'125", something like that. And the stage is like, right here on her. Okay? So we get there, and we're there for the whole play. And Higgins comes out for this scene. And says these lines. I wonder if Titania be awake. But when he does, he comes out, and he sees my wife and I right here. And he gets down on his knees and looks at her straight in the eye. I mean, he's like this far away from her. And asks this question. I wonder, notice, in the text, it's not a question. Not as written. It's a statement. I wonder if Titania be awake. And he says, I wonder if Titania be awake. And my wife goes, yes. And I'm like, Darren, shut the... Because immediately, 3,000 eyes, boom. I mean, just... And he starts ad-libbing right there. No. And she goes, yes. Then what it was that next came in her eye? And my wife said, an ass. No! And then he goes on, which she must dote on in extremity. And he gets up and winks at her and goes and my wife's just sitting there. I didn't hear anything about anything else the rest of the, time there. When the play ends, the way the Globe always does it is they do a burger mask. They do a dance, okay? Well, they come out and do the dance. The actors all take their bows and stuff. And at one point, he kind of looks at my wife and does this, and the crowd just, erupts. So, then what it was that next came in her eye, which she must dote on in extremity, that is, 2 extremes. Okay? And Puck says, my mistress with a monster is in love, near to her close and consecrated bower, blah, 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 blah. Oberon. Yes. This falls out better than I could devise. That is better than I even planned. But hast thou, notice, is he only concerned about metaphorically screwing his wife, about metaphorically, getting her back? No. He asks next about what? Or specifically about whom? Demetrius. He wants to make sure that Demetrius kind of gets his comeuppance for how he treated Helena. Why? Why does Oberon give a rat's you-know-what for Demetrius and Helena? Their problems are a result of what? His and Titania's problems. Okay? Hast thou yet latched the Athenians' eyes with the love juice? He says, I did. And Demetrius and Hermia come in. And Oberon says, well, here's the same Athenian. Puck, that's the woman, but that's not the man whose eyes I anointed. And Demetrius and Hermia go back and forth. Helena comes in. Helena and Hermia go back and forth because Helena thinks Hermia is involved in the mockery. Hermia's like, I don't understand this. I understand not what you mean by this, line 35 or so. I do persever counterfeit sad looks, make mouths upon me when I turn my back, wink each at other, hold the sweet just up, etc., etc. Okay? So they keep going back and forth. Lysander comes in, okay? And Hermia turns to Lysander, 257, and says, Lysander, whereto tends all this? That is, what's the purpose? Why are you doing? She thinks it's all an act that Lysander is doing this. Away, you Ethiop. Now, why does he call her an Ethiop? Notice your editor's gloss, referring to Hermia's relatively dark hair and complexion. Okay? Hermia should be darker than Helena. And yet, I've often seen the play performed so that Hermia is tall and blonde and Helena is short with dark hair. It's completely going against the imagery of the play. Okay? So Demetrius and Lysander go back and forth. Lysander to Hermia, hang off thou cat, thou burr, vile thing, let loose, or I will shake thee from me like a serpent. And she's like, why? What's going on? Out, tawny Tartar. Out, loathed medicine. Oh, hated potion hints. Do you not jest? She still thinks it's in fun. Yes, sooth, and so do you. Helena thinks Hermia is doing this as all part of the act. And all of the act is to make fun of her, Helena. Okay? Lysander, 269. What? Should I hurt her? That is, should I hurt Hermia? Strike her, kill her dead? Although I hate, I'm not going to harm her. Okay? Although I hate her. Pretty strong language, right? Hermia, what? Can you do me greater harm than hate? Hate me? Wherefore? Why? I mean, prior to this, what was Hermia's last experience of Lysander? Lysander said, let's sleep together. One bow, one head, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, Lysander riddles, no, go over there, for chaste modesty and such. Wherefore? O me, what news, my love? Am not I Hermia? Are not you Lysander? She's saying, doesn't Hermia and Lysander, don't they always go together? I am as fair now as I was erewhile. Fair, beautiful, pretty, now as I was before. Since night you loved me, yet since night you left me. Why then you left me, O the gods forbid, in earnest shall I say. Why did you leave me? That is, I did leave you, and never did desire to see thee more. Go away. Therefore be out of hope, of question, of doubt. You have no hope that what? That I will love you again. There is no question that I will not love you again. There is no doubt that I will not love you again. Be certain, nothing truer. 'Tis no jest that I do hate thee and love Helena. And the long knives come out, or the the claws come out. Oh, me, you juggler. You canker blossom. What's a canker blossom? It's the worm that eats at the heart of the flower and ruins the blossom. You thief of love. What? Have you come by night and stolen my love's heart from him? Okay. What have you done while I was asleep? Did you seduce him? Helena. Poor Helena, right? She's just getting, knocked all around. Have you no modesty, no maiden shame, no touch of bashfulness? Will you tear impatient answers from my gentle tongue? Fie, you. And then she uses the wrong words. Not wrong in the sense that she shouldn't have used them, wrong in the sense of how Hermia interprets them. And this tells us, or this gives us a little indication of Hermia's backstory, so to speak. You counterfeit. You puppet. You. Hermia. Puppet? That way goes the game. Now I perceive she hath urged her height, and with her personage, her tall personage, her height forsooth, she hath... What's that tell us about Hermia? Keep going. And...
complex about it.
Yeah, it's a big chip on her shoulder. What was it? Randy Newman had the song, Short People Got No Reason to Live. Okay, this is a problem for Hermia. And are you grown so high in his esteem because I am so dwarfish and so low? Well, did anybody say she was dwarfish? Well, the puppet line kind of. How low am I, thou painted maypole? Maypole, the pole that couples would go around on May Day. They string their things and they get together so that at the end they wind up united around the pole. Okay, all kinds of sexual imagery there. So she's saying like you were honey to the fly. Okay, how low am I? I'm not yet so low, but that my nails can reach under the eyes. And she jumps. Okay, and in this production we saw in 2002, Hermia was a little short gal, about this big, and Helena was like a swimsuit model, about 5'11", 6 foot. Okay, and Hermia was pretty athletic, and she literally, like from me to where Chloe is, she jumps. And yeah, it doesn't say who's doing the restraining here. I think it is Lysander literally moves in front and catches her. Okay, and she's, he's like trying to hold her back. It's just fantastic. Oh, I pray you, though you mock me, gentlemen, let her not hurt me. Okay, Helena being the, you perhaps may think because she is something lower than myself that I can match her. Lower. Mark again. Now, does Helena mean by using lower, does she intend that as a slam?
Yes, but maybe not in the same way.
What do you mean?
So she's not necessarily referring to her height, but she's not as proper as I am.
Exactly. She's not as dignified. She's acting base. Okay. Hermia, however, here's short. Again, my daughter, my eldest daughter, who is the shortest one in the family, is very adamant about always saying she's 5'2"1/4. Because that 1/4 inch, or it might be 5 foot 1/4. My younger daughter is like 5'5". She's like, I see your lowness. And my older daughter has the T-shirt that says, from the play, though she be little, yet she is fierce, Lower, hark again, Helena, good Hermia, do not be so bitter. And what do we hear? They used to be best friends. They used to share love talk, not homosexual, but talking about their lovers, okay? You see how simple and how fond I am. 317. Fond can mean foolish. She's saying, I don't get this. I don't have a clue what's going on here. Okay? Get you gone. Who is it that hinders you? Who's stopping you from leaving? A foolish heart that I leave here behind. Foolish heart. Why she leave it behind? What's she not going to do? Seemingly, from this point on. Love. She went into the forest searching for love. Whose? Demetrius's. Instead, her three friends, Demetrius, Lysander, Helena, turn on her according to Helena's understanding of what's happening. She thinks this is all a game. And she says, I'll leave, and I will leave my foolish heart here. I'm not going to love again. Why? This is what love gets you. This is what love gets you. Okay? It turns on you. What? With Lysander? With Demetrius. She's going to leave her foolish heart with Demetrius and leave. Lysander, be not afraid, she shall not harm thee, Helena. No, she's not. And so Demetrius and Lysander, I'll protect you. I'll protect you. Oh, when she is angry, she is keen and shrewd. She was a vixen when she went to school. And though she be but little, she is fierce. Hermia. Little? Again? Nothing but low and little. Why will you suffer her to flout me thus? Let me. Notice, why will you suffer her to. Who's she speaking to? Probably Lysander. Does she really want Demetrius to come to her aid? No, because Demetrius is the one who wants to marry her, and she doesn't want anything to do with Demetrius. Okay? Get you gone. Oh. Get you gone, you dwarf. See, dwarf doesn't just mean little short human. If you suffer dwarfism, or if you have dwarfism, what does that always imply? There's a part of your body that is misshaped. It's either the legs are too short, or the legs might be normal, and the abdomen is shortened, or the abdomen is elongated. Okay? Often it's the legs and arms are too short, and the abdomen is normal sized. Okay? So he calls her a dwarf. You minimus. A minimus is almost like a Austin Powers, mini-me, okay, of hindering not grass made, a weed, an infusion of which was thought to stunt the growth. You bead, you acorn. The implication is Helena is an oak. You're an acorn. You're the thing that oaks grow out of. Notice Hermia doesn't immediately reply. Why? Read into it. Okay, she loves him. What else? What's she experiencing? Verbal PTSD. I mean, she's just been verbally assaulted. And she, did I hear what he just really said? Demetrius, well, now, you are too officious. Officious means you're too enamored of the office. Okay, so what does that mean? That's okay. You went a little overboard there, Lysander. Okay, you're trying to prove your love for Helena. It doesn't mean you have to, I'll use the phrase, belittle Hermia more. Okay? In her behalf that scorns your services, let her alone. Speak not of Helena, take not her part. For if thou dost intend never so little show of love to her, thou shalt abide by it. And so they go back and forth. Lysander leaves, Demetrius leaves, Hermia leaves, Helena leaves, Hermia leaves. Now, Puck and Oberon have been on the stage the entire time. And a good director will have Puck and Oberon, while this fight is going on, doing things so that we see the supernatural world and the natural world simultaneously. Puck, probably, I've seen a variety of productions, but usually, at one point, he's rolling on the ground laughing because this is great. Oberon, however, what's his reaction to all this? angry. He doesn't find any frivolity here. This is thy negligence. Still thou mistakest. What does still mean? Always. You always mistakest, screw up. You always screw up, or else commit thy knaveries willfully. Well, what's the difference between a screw up and intentional? If you did this intentionally, you wanted to inflict what? Let's say on Hermio's part and on Helena's part. Pain. Demetrius and Lysander haven't suffered anything in this little thing. The two women have. Helena thinks she suffered mockery. Hermia thinks she's lost the love of her life. Believe me, king of shadows. There's that idea again, shadows, impermanence, unreal, insubstantial. I mistook. No, it wasn't intentional, it was a mistake. Did you not tell me I should know the man by the Athenian garments he hath on? He says, look, Lysander had Athenian garments. You didn't tell me which one. You didn't tell me facial appearance, description. And so far blameless proves my enterprise, that I have anointed an Athenian's eyes. And so far am I glad it so did sort. As this their jangling, I esteem a sport. Jangling? Pleasant sound? No. They're fighting. He says, ooh, this is good. It's like the media, in response to Democrats and Republicans. Oh, let's get a big fight. Why? Because this is fun. Oberon. Thou seest these lovers seek a place to fight. High, therefore, Robin, overcast the night. Notice what that tells us about Puck's powers. He can turn day to night. Not a weak spirit. Overcast the night, the starry welkin cover thou anon with drooping fog as black as Acheron. Lead these testy rivals so astray as one comes not within another's way. And he gives him an herb and says, take this herb and put it in Lysander's eyes. Okay? But only do that when. Who is Lysander supposed to be with? Hermia. Do it when Hermia is next to him. So, remove the potion, because that's what this herb does. It cancels the potion you put in his eyes before, so that when he wakes up, what? Whose liquor hath this virtuous property to take from thence all error with his might, and make his eyeballs roll with wonted sight. It will remove the error. What's the error he now sees through, or sees with? Helena. Nope. Remove that. And his eyeballs will see with their former sight. When they next awake, all this derision, all this humor, and all this imprecise vision shall seem a dream and fruitless vision. Why a fruitless vision? Nothing will come of it. It won't be a prophetic vision, in other words. Because a prophetic vision, if it's real prophecy, something comes of it. Okay? And then back to Athens shall the lovers wend, and back to Athens shall the lovers wend, with league whose date till death shall never end. Now that's prophecy. What is Oberon saying is going to happen? Lysander and Hermia will what? They will get married till death do us part. Okay? While I, in this affair, do the employ, he says, I'm going to go to Tanya and beg her the Indian boy. And then I will her charmed eye release. He's telling us, and I will get the boy. Right? Puck, he says, I'll do it. Okay. So they leave. Oberon leaves. Puck tells us up and down, I will lead them up and down. So he's walking around the stage, and Lysander comes in. Okay. Puck mimics Demetrius till Lysander walks around and he follows the voice. Demetrius comes in. Puck mimics Lysander, and Demetrius follows him. Okay. Lysander comes back in, is sleepy, falls asleep. Puck comes in, puts the juice on his eyes. Demetrius comes in. Notice, Puck doesn't let Demetrius lie down next to Lysander. Okay? He puts him in another place. Helena comes in. Puck leads her so that she falls asleep where? Next to Demetrius. Hermia comes in. Puck leads her so that she falls asleep next to Lysander. She doesn't see Lysander there. Okay? Helena doesn't see Demetrius there. Meanwhile, who's asleep still this whole time on the stage? Titania. She's still on the stage the whole time. They've never left. Okay? That. So, Puck squeezes the juice on Lysander's eyes and says, when thou wakest, thou takest true delight in the sight of thy former lady's eye, that is, Hermia, and the country proverb known that every man should take his own, and your waking shall be shown. Jack shall have Jill, naught shall go ill. The man shall have his mare again, and all shall be well. In other words, he's kind of saying, you two are made for each other. This will correct things. 4-1. Take that back. Titania's not still asleep. Sorry, confuse her. 4-1. Titania comes in. And she goes to sleep. And there's Bottom with her. And they're doing things for Bottom. And Titania goes to sleep. And Puck comes in. And Oberon comes forward. And Oberon says, you see this sweet sight? Her dotage now I do begin to pity. Why? How has she fallen asleep? Physically, I mean. In Bottom's arms. Okay? Murfreesboro Little Theater, several years ago, I think it was Murfreesboro Little Theater, several years ago, long time, like 20 years ago, did a production of this because my eldest daughter was one of the little fairies. And the young lady who played Titania was this gorgeous blonde, and the guy who played Puck was this grotesquely obese kid. I mean, he had to be 350 pounds. Okay? Puck. And so, swimsuit model falls in love with grotesquely obese guy. And when they fall asleep in this scene, it's like, she is just enveloped in his arms and legs and everything. So when Oberon comes in and says this, yeah, this is kind of the idea. He pities it means, oh man, this is wrong. For meeting her of late behind the wood, he did what? He says, I got the fairy boy, or I got the boy from her. Okay?
Was Bottom or Puck that
one?
Bottom.
Bottom. Yeah, did I misspeak and say Puck? No, it was Bottom. Okay? So, he says, I'm going to take this hateful imperfection of her eyes, line, 60 or so, 63. I will undo this hateful imperfection of her eyes, and gentle Puck, take this transformed scalp from off the head of this Athenian swain, that he, awaking when the other do, may all to Athens back again repair. Okay? And what? And he, and they, the others, think no more of this night's accidents, but as the fierce vexation of a dream. When Shakespeare uses that word accidents, he's implying it's part of something else. In the Middle Ages and Renaissance, it was taught that everything, as this says that couple, everything had, use the singular, I take that back, had accidents and substance. Its accidents was the form and appearance it took. Okay? Its substance is what it literally was, what its essence was. So, for example, this piece of paper, that is accidents. That is, the appearance of whatever the stuff this is made of is its accidents. It appears to be paper. What is it literally? What is its essence? Tree. Wood pulp. Wood fiber. This. Its accidents is what? Bottle. What's its essence? Petroleum. Right? This is oil. This is refined oil. Okay? This watch, same thing. This prayer bracelet, its accidents is prayer bracelet. Its essence, sheep's wool or cotton. Pretty sure it's sheep's wool. Okay? So there's two different things. So what does Oberon say there? Think no more of this night's accidents. Okay? But that word has two meanings, right? Because what does it mean when you get in an accident? It's an unplanned, okay? It's contact. It's a coming together that's unplanned, okay? That's one meaning. But its other meaning is this night's appearances, this night's visions, but as the fierce vexation of a dream. The dream is the substance of it. Okay? This is going to be interesting because in a few moments, Theseus is going to talk about dreams and what is real and what is not real, kind of. So, he releases the queen. Be as thou wast wont to be. That is, be as you used to be before. Used to be when? When they met each other in the forest? Rash, wanton? No. As you were wont to be when? When we were madly in love. Before you denied the marriage bed. See as thou wast wont to see. As you used to see. Dian's bud over Cupid's flower. Cupid's flower has such force and blessed power. Now, my Titania, wake you, my sweet queen. Not my rash hooker, my rash whore. Those other meanings of wanton that I described. And she awakes. My Oberon. When she awakes, is that because she's looking at him and sees him? Shakespeare doesn't tell us. It could, I think, a really good way to direct this would be to not have her seeing Oberon when she wakes up, but she wakes up with my Oberon on her lips, showing he is everything to her, as she was wont to be before. My Oberon, what visions have I seen? And now she does see him and talks to him. Methought I was enamored of an ass. And Oberon goes, turn around. Look, there lies your love. How came these things to pass? Oh, mine eyes do loathe this visage now. Silence a while. In other words, shh. Well, what do you do if you've babysat, or if you've had children, or you had younger brothers or sisters, and they have a nightmare? Shh. The dream's what? It's gone. It can't hurt you now. Silence. Robin, take off his head. Notice she has to see him like that. And then Puck takes the head off. So they call for music. Puck takes off Bottom's head. Now when thou wakes, with thine own fool's eyes peep. In other words, he's not going to see smarter than he did before. He's still going to be a fool. Okay? So Oberon says, as they dance, there shall the pairs of faithful lovers be wedded with Theseus all in jollity. Again, that's kind of a prophecy. Have we heard that Helena and Demetrius are going to wed? Not really. So, in comes Theseus, all his train, that is Hippolyta, Aegeus, etc., etc. And Theseus sees the sleepers. He sees Demetrius with Helena real close to him. They're not inclined or anything. It's like Demetrius is lying on his right side facing that way, and Helena's lying on her left side facing that way. And there's Hermia and Lysander. But soft, what nymphs are these? Aegeus. This is my daughter here asleep, and this is Lysander, and there's Demetrius, and there's Helena, Nadar's. I wonder of their being here together, meaning, what the hell is going on? I wonder, I am full of wonder. He doesn't understand. Not very sharp, right? I mean, he sees his daughter with the man he doesn't want her to marry, and he's, wow, what's going on? So, they wake up because he has an attendant blow a horn. Lysander, pardon, my lord. They kneel. No, stand up, stand up. I know you two are rival enemies. Line, 142. How comes this gentle concord in the world? Concord, with cord, heart, with the same heart. They are united. They are at peace. They are in harmony. Okay? That hatred is so far from jealousy to sleep by hate and fear no enmity. What happened to make you two get along? I shall reply amazedly. Amazedly means what? I don't know. I'm going to answer, but I don't know. Here's my best guess. Half sleep, half waking. Have you ever been in that state? Half asleep, half awake? Are you really awake? Are you really conscious at that moment? Nope. Are you really asleep? Nope. Can you really explain what's going on? No, you can't. So he says, I can tell you why I came here. I came here with Hermia. Yeah, that's right. We're going to leave Athens and come here without the peril of the Athenian law. And Aegeus cuts him off. That's it. We don't need to hear anymore. Why does Aegeus cut him off? Is it that they broke the law? Not literally. He was going to deny me my right. What's Aegeus' right? To marry his daughter off to whomever he pleases. Okay? I beg the law upon his head. They would have stolen away, they would, Demetrius, have defeated you and me, you have your wife, me and my consent, blah, blah, blah. Demetrius, fair Helen, told me of their stuff. Of this their purpose hither to this wood, and I in fury hither followed them. Fair Helena in fancy there means, I'll use the old spelling first, fantasy. In a fantasy, follow me. What was her fantasy? I will somehow persuade him. Okay? To follow me. But, my good lord, I wot, that's no. I know not by what power, but by some power it is, my love to Hermia melted as the snow. Seems to me now as the remembrance of an idol god. G-A-U-D. What's a god? like gaudy jewelry. You've all heard of that, costume jewelry. It's designed to initially attract the eyes, and then what? You get tired of it. Okay? It's too flashy. It's gaudy. It's overdone. So what is Demetrius saying? At first, I was attracted to Hermia like she was some god, not G-O-D, G-A-U-D, some shiny, bright, new thing. Ooh, a rabbit, ooh, bling. And then, but he says, what happened with that? As the remembrance of an idol god, which in my childhood I did dote upon, and all the faith and virtue of my heart, the object and the pleasure of mine eye, is only Helena. Is, now, present tense. To her, my lord, was I, and he finally admits it, I did not only woo her, made love to her, as I said earlier, he betrothed. He was engaged to Helena. The made love, not had sex, it's courted. And now he says, in fact, it was more than that. I put a ring on her finger. We were engaged. It's like, the first banns were read, almost. But like a sickness did I loathe this food. But as in health come to my natural taste, now I do wish it, love it, long for it, and I will forevermore be true to it. Theseus, fair lovers, you are fortunately met. Fortunately means fortune has brought you together. The goddess Fortune. The goddess Fortune has said, Helena, Demetrius, you two together. Hermia, Lysander, you two together. Aegeus, I will overbear your will. Why? Because I think Aegeus kind of makes a motion. He's like, well, no, stop. For in the temple by and by with us these couples shall eternally be knit. Notice, no questions asked. No, is this lifetime commitment or you guys are going to shack up for a while? Nope, we're all going to get married same day. When? Tomorrow. Okay. Demetrius, after Theseus and his train leave, these things seem small and undistinguishable, like far-off mountains turn it into clouds. Small and indistinguishable. What things? The things that happened overnight. It's like, I can't see them clearly. They're off in a distance. Hermia, methinks I see these things with parted eye when everything seems double, like I've got something in my eye that's blurring my vision. Helena, yeah, me too. Demetrius is like a jewel, mine own, and are you sure we're awake? In other words, somebody pinch me. Let's make sure this isn't a dream. It seems to me that yet we sleep, we dream. Wasn't the Duke just here? Yeah, and Dad, and Hippolyta. And we're going to go to the temple and get married. Wow. They leave. And Bottom wakes up. And Bottom gets one of the great short speeches of the play. Great, not for its depth, but because it's Bottom. And Bottom gets to show what an ass he is. He wakes up and he's thinking of the play that they have to perform. God's my life, stolen hints and left me asleep. He thinks the other actors, the other rude mechanicals, have left him. He's not immediately, when he wakes up, he's not immediately thinking of the things that occurred. He's like blanked it out. And then it comes to him. I have had a most rare vision. I have had a dream, past the wit of man to say what dream it was. Man is but an ass if he go about to expand this dream. So, if you try to explain this dream, you are an ass. And what's he going to do? Methought I was. I'm going to expound this dream. He's showing why he deserved the ass's head. But there is no man can tell what. Methought I was and methought I had, but man is but a patch fool if he will offer to say what methought I had. The eye of man hath not heard, Notice what this is a corruption of. It's a corruption of St. Paul. The eye of man hath not seen, the ear of man hath not heard. Okay? The eye hath not heard, he says. The ear of man hath not seen, man's hand is not able to taste, his tongue to conceive, nor his heart to report what my dream was. Okay? 4:2, the others come in. They meet up with Bottom. Okay? Bottom tells them at the end of that scene what? Their play is preferred. Since when? When were they told, oh, you get to do your play at the wedding? Don't know, but that's what happens. 5:1. Day of the wedding. So the lovers have all gone back to Athens, and Hippolyta says, "'Tis strange, my Theseus, that these lovers speak of." That really means what? That's a strange story. The stuff these lovers are talking about. Theseus, more strange than true. What's Theseus mean by that? I don't believe a word of it. Too strange. I never may believe the antic fables nor these fairy toys. I don't believe old stories or fairy stories. Okay? Why does Shakespeare have Theseus say that? I think it's intended to be ironic. Because Theseus himself is what? He is an ancient story. Okay? But he's going to go on and say some other things that are pretty serious, or it's pretty significant. Let me put it that way. Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies, what's a shaping fantasy?
The ability to create desire in your mind.
Exactly. Fantasy is your imagination. So shaping fantasies, imaginations that give shape to things. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Really? Where? Middle Earth. Tolkien created all of that out of what? His head. His idea. J.K. Rowling one day, before she was quote unquote J.K. Rowling, was on a train from Manchester to London. At that time, she was an unwed mother living on Scottish welfare, essentially. And at one point during that train ride, she has an idea about a boy who discovers on his 11th birthday that he's a wizard. And the most powerful dark wizard in the world who ever lived is out to kill him and killed his parents. And within 15 years, she's the richest woman in the United Kingdom, wealthier than Queen Elizabeth, and one of the wealthiest people in the world. She goes from utter poverty to, why? Because she had a shaping fantasy. Okay? So, lovers and madmen, notice, have such seething brains. What does it mean to seethe? You've heard people talking about being seething mad, maybe. Overactive? Close.
Overflowing.
Louder?
Overflowing.
Overflowing? Possibly. Depending upon the container that the brain is in. To seethe means to boil. Seething brains. Well, madmen often suffer from hallucinations. Why? Elevated temperatures. I don't know if you've ever had a high temperature, a high fever, 104. I think my highest I've ever had is about 104 or 105. What happens when your brain starts to get that hot? You see things. Is it that you're seeing things that aren't really there? Or is it that you're seeing things that nobody else just sees, but they are there? So, lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason ever comprehends. What's the difference between apprehending and comprehending? The hen part's both the same. That's grasping. The apprehending is reaching out and taking hold of. Comprehending is what? Understanding. A comprehensive exam covers everything. So, lovers and madmen's brains do what? They apprehend, they reach out, take hold of, they see, if you want more than cool reason comprehends, understands. Reason doesn't what? Love. What's the verb that comes before love? Understand. Love is not what? Rational. Really? How many think love is totally rational? If you're married, how did you get married? Did you get married because you pulled out a legal pad, pros and cons? No, you didn't. How did you quote unquote fall in love? Anybody experience quote unquote love at first sight? First time I saw the woman who became my wife, I thought, I'm going to marry her. Hadn't even talked to her. Okay? My kids call me a stalker. So, more than cool reason ever comprehends. Period. End of statement. That's a declarative statement. And then Theseus says, the lunatic, the lover, now we get another class of people thrown in. The lunatic, the lover, so that's the lunatic. Lover's still the same. And who does that include? Mr. William Shakespeare. Are of imagination all compact. That is, they're all framed of. They're all made of imagination. They're all the same in the sense of their imaginations. One sees more devils than vast hell can hold. That's the lunatic. Okay? Sorry, not hell. He sees devils. Okay? The lover, all as frantic. What's it mean to be frantic? Anxious? Unsettled? You get a phone call, you find out somebody's being rushed to the emergency room. Somebody you care about. What happens? Adrenaline spikes, and you get that fight or flee. Flee or fight, thing. Okay? So, lunatic sees more devils than vast hell can hold. The lover, all is frantic, sees Helen's beauty in a brow of Egypt. The Nashville Shakespeare Festival, when they did this play a couple years ago, they changed that line. So it didn't say the brow of Egypt. They changed it to the eye of a storm. Bugged me to no end. Why? Why change the brow of Egypt to the eye of a storm? What's the brow of Egypt? What color is an Egyptian? White? No. Brown. Possibly black. Dark-skinned. What's Theseus saying? The lover, as frantic as the madman, sees Helen's beauty. Who's Helen? Not Helena in the character. Helen of Troy, who is the most beautiful woman in the world, sees Helen's beauty in a brow of Egypt. What was the Elizabethan? Remember I mentioned the other day, the Elizabethan conception of beauty? White. The lover sees Helen's beauty in what? A dark-skinned woman. in the sonnets, a woman is described. The dark lady. Okay? Which some people have said they know who that was. That was a dark-skinned lady who may or may not have been Shakespeare's mistress. We don't know for sure. Okay? So, Helen's beauty and a brow in Egypt. So why did they change that to Eye of a Storm? Yeah, they wanted to be politically correct. They didn't want to offend anybody, especially seeing as Hippolyta was an African-American woman. Okay? And then the play, I mean, there are some other things that a variety of people reviewing the play, had some problems with. I won't talk about it. So, the poet's eye, so we've had the lunatic, the lover, the poet's eye, in a fine frenzy rolling. The eye rolling means it can't focus. It can't settle. It's okay? Does what? Doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven. So it glances from up there to down here. Kind of Aristotle's and Plato's and Socrates' universals to particulars and back and forth. And does what? And as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown. I just love that line. The imagination bodies forth. It incarnates. It embodies the forms of things. It gives form to things unknown. Why are they unknown? Where do they occur? In the poet's mind. After all, if Shakespeare had never written A Midsummer Night's Dream, we would never know anything about Bottom or Hermia and Lysander and such. Okay? So as the imagination does this, the poet does what? The poet's pen turns these things created by the imagination to what? To shapes. And gives to airy nothing. Bottom is an airy nothing. Why? Because where did bottom exist first? In Shakespeare's mind. Theseus was an airy nothing, other than the myths and legends about him. Gives to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. Where is this occurring right now? This scene? In Athens. And yet, where is it literally occurring right now in its performance in Shakespeare's day? At the Globe, in Southwark, in London, in England, in Western Europe, on the Earth, the third planet out from the sun, the solar system. It gives it a habitation and a name. Where does the play really occur? It occurs in our minds when we one of two things. Well, it occurs in our minds when we read it, right? Because what do you have to provide? You've got to provide all the imagery. You've got to provide what the characters look like. Unless you've seen a production, and that production filters and guides and colors your imagination. Okay? Such tricks hath strong imagination, that if it would but apprehend some joy, apprehend, that's that reach out and grab, it comprehends, and this is where it gets really deep, some bringer of that joy. What? Such tricks the imagination has. That is, the imagination has such power that if it can reach out and grab a joy, it does what? It comprehends, it understands that if there's that joy, there must be what? There must be something that caused that joy. There must be something behind that joy. Well, you can replace joy with what? Anything. If the imagination reaches out and grabs a character, then there must be what? There must be something behind that caused that character. Shakespeare's wrestling there, I think, with where do ideas come from? Why was J.K. Rowling on that train from Manchester to London and not me? Or not anybody in this room? And I don't mean that because you weren't born at the time, in 1990 when the idea came to her. But where did that idea for Harry Potter come from? It's not like she was sitting in her train car going, think of an idea. I want to be a famous author. I want to make billions. Nope. She was literally just sitting there. And then, suddenly it's there. Where's that come from? Okay? There has to be, it comprehends there is some bringer. There's something that brings that to us. That's a religious idea. It's saying there's got to be something more. More than what? More than cool reason comprehends. More than can be seen, so to speak. Oh, so let me give you a more concrete example. Or in the night, imagining some fear. How easy is a bush supposed to bear? Now, bears weren't running rampant in London. Okay? But let's use a different example. How many of you, no, I won't use this. I'll use a personal example. In the little house I grew up in, 1,200 square feet, 7 people, my brother and I shared a room, and one of the bedrooms we had, because we would switch rooms every, 5 years or so, one of the bedrooms we had some trees that would blow against the screen on the window, okay? And I can remember quite a few nights going to bed. I was the youngest. I had the earliest bedtime. Going to bed and hearing that, and my imagination bodying forth forms of things unknown, being alive at the time of the Zodiac Killer and thinking, because I was only 30 miles away from where the Zodiac Killer was doing his killing. And I knew about it. Thinking this is somebody trying to get in the window. Okay? Or Berenstain Bears, since I read the Berenstain Bears to my kids, and there's one of them about don't be afraid of darkness at night. Well, you throw a jacket over a chair, and what can that look like in the shadows? Depending on how you throw it, it can look like a person. Okay? That's what he's getting at. Hippolyta. Yeah. Come back down to earth, Theseus. But they all had the same dream. All their imaginations bodied forth the same form of things unknown. Come on, be real. There's got to be more to the story. In other words, he says, I can't believe it. She says, but they had the same dream. People don't have the same dream, do they? Nobody. Okay? So the lovers come in, and Philostrate brings in the list of possibilities. Here's things for the revels. And he reads some, and he doesn't like some of them. And then he says, wait, what's this one? A tedious, brief scene of young Pyramus, line 56, and his love, Thisbe. Very tragical mirth. Merry and tragical. Tedious and brief. Because tedious means what? It's the opposite of brief. It's long and drawn out. Explain. A play, some 10 words long. Can you write a play in 10 words? Which is as brief as I've known a play, but by 10 words, my lord, it is too long. You don't want this play. Who are going to perform this play? Hard-handed men that work in Athens here, which never labored in their minds till now. Hard-handed. They're used to working with their hands, but not with their heads. And now they have toiled their unbreathed memories with this same play against your nuptial. Theseus, That's it. We'll have it. No. You don't want this one. It's not for you. I've heard it over. No, I will hear that play. Why? This tells us a lot about Theseus's character. Okay? For never anything can be amiss when simpleness and duty tender it. Nothing can be wrong. Nothing can go wrong when simpleness and duty tender it. Do it. Perform it. What's he mean? Everything is about two things: his reception of the play and their production of the play. If their production of the play is motivated by what? What's he mean by simpleness? Does he mean simple-minded stupidness? They're low IQs? Nope. Sincerity. If they are being sincere in their attempt. And duty. They're doing it out of a sense of, what's he mean by duty? Because we don't have this kind of duty in our society. Duty to those who are over you. We don't have a sense of duty to our elected leaders. Why? What are they supposed to be? Our servants. They work for us, not the other way around. In this society, it is the other way around. The servants serve the lords. Okay? So he says, if they're acting out of a sense of duty, nothing could go wrong. If they're acting out of a sense of sincerity, nothing could go wrong. Does that mean that they will deliver their lines perfectly? No. What does it mean? In my eyes and in my ears, I will hear what? I will correct the incorrect. I will perfect the imperfect. It's like when Harry Potter, at the beginning of the 7th book, it's like when Harry hears Dudley Dursley say, I don't think you're a waste of space. And Harry interprets that for us. Harry tells us how he hears Dudley say, I don't think you're a waste of space. He says, coming from Dudley, that's like saying, I love you. Harry hears Dudley say that, and he hears Dudley saying, I love you, Harry. And he says, thanks, Dudley. Okay? Notice, Dudley hasn't literally said, I love you. But that's how Harry receives it. Okay? So, Hippolyta. I don't like to see wretchedness overcharged, and duty in his service perishing. Wretchedness, these lowlifes, that's what she means. These wretched people, they can't do it. The duty will perish in the serving, in the attempt. They'll screw it up. You shall see no such thing. But he says they can't do it. Look at Theseus' response. The kinder we. Why? That is, then we must be the kinder. Why? To give them thanks for nothing. Why do we give them thanks? Is it because they don't do it? Yeah, maybe. But they're trying. That's the point. They're trying. Even if they don't succeed, nothing. Then we give them thanks even for that. Our sport, that is our pleasure at this, shall be what? Shall be to take what they mistake. That is, what they screw up, we will do what with? We will correct. Like when you proofread your own paper. What does your brain do? It corrects errors so that you don't see them. It will see, if you're typing on along fast, it will see that. But it will register as that. It will see that when what you meant was that. which is why you try to get either someone else to proofread your paper, or what's the fail-safe way of proofreading a paper? Start at the end. Read the last word, and then the next word, and then the next word. Because your brain can't fill in those gaps, because it won't make any sense that way. Okay? He says, our sport shall be to take what they mistake. And what poor duty cannot do, poor duty, their sense of duty to us, noble respect takes it in might, not merit. Noble respect. Who's the respect of or toward? It's our respect of them. He's saying we should show respect to them, those who are lower than us. And that will do what? It will take it, that is their attempt, in might, in what could have been. If only Bottom were Sir Laurence Olivier. If only, Peter Quince or Kenneth Branagh. If they were all A-lister Hollywood actors, this would be a perfect production. So, when you see Bottom mess up his lines, think Larry. Think, Ken, etc. Where I have come. Okay, now keep in mind, he's what? He's Duke Theseus. He's the guy who slew the Minotaur. All right? Where I have come, great clerks have purposed to greet me with premeditated welcomes. Where I have seen them shiver and look pale, make periods in the midst of sentences, throttle their practiced accent in their fears, and in conclusion, dumbly have broke off, not paying me a welcome. I've gone places, and the messenger, the herald, has come out and has really practiced a great welcome speech and just butchers it. Why? My greatness overawed that individual. Trust me, sweet. Out of this silence, yet I picked a welcome. They tried. And in the modesty of fearful duty, I read as much as from rattling tongue of saucy and audacious eloquence. From the person who could barely speak a word, he says, I took as much as I did from the person who was just fluid and eloquent. Love, therefore, and tongue-tied simplicity in least speak most to my capacity, to my way of thinking at least. Now, what has he just done / said to his wife? He's done a little bit of correcting. He's kind of said, this is the way I look at things. And he's kind of implying, and this is the way you should too. And then Shakespeare's kind of implying, and this is the way the rest of us should. So that when somebody attempts to do something for us, we should do what? We should take the attempt for the deed. Rather than, you didn't do that good enough. You didn't wash the dishes right. You didn't mow the yard right. You didn't clean your parents speaking. You didn't do blah, 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 all too often, right. What else can that mean? That can also be Shakespeare, playwright, telling audience, cut me some slack. I'm trying. We're actors trying. Take the intent for the deed. Okay? So, they come in. We hear the prologue. I'm going to skip a lot. And before the prologue, actually, we hear the prologue. Notice how the prologue is punctuated. It's punctuated according to what? How the character playing Peter Quince should deliver it. That is, it's punctuated oratorically or rhetorically. So a comma equals a pause, a period equals a stop. Okay? It's not punctuated correctly grammatically. Because the way Peter Quince delivers it is all wrong. I mean, he butchers it. If we offend, it is with our goodwill. End of statement. End of sentence. What does that mean? It is our will, it is our intention to offend you. That's not what he means. If we offend, comma, pause, it is with our goodwill that you should think we come not to offend. Period. That's what he means. So why doesn't he say that? Because he doesn't know any better. This is exactly what Theseus was talking about. Okay? The intention is there. The execution, woefully inadequate. Okay? And he does that all throughout. So that Theseus says, this fellow doth not stand upon points. Points, marks of punctuation. He doesn't understand how to do his pauses and such. Okay? So we get the rest of the prologue, and we see the play, and we see the talking between the actors and the audience. Okay? For example, line 181, Theseus, the wall, methinks, being sensible, should curse again. Pyramus, no, in truth, he should not. What has Pyramus just done? He's broken the proverbial fourth wall. The wall that separates what is happening from what's out there. Okay? Thisbe comes in, and this is one of Shakespeare's great, just absolute great plays within a play. And the actors who play Pyramus and Thisbe have got to be willing and able to really ham it up. When the National Shakespeare Festival did this, my son got to play the part of Thisbe. Okay, he'd only acted in one other play before. Okay, and just wig, dress, and he just hammed it up like you couldn't believe. And the guy who played Bottom was just superb because I mean everything was totally over the top. Okay, so we see them, we see Moon and Lion and all that kind of stuff. And skip to almost the end. Okay, so what often happens with star-crossed lovers? Remember that line was not from Romeo and Juliet. It's from this play. It's Hermia talking about she and Lysander. Well, what often happens with star-crossed lovers in literature? They die. Okay, because it is used also for Romeo and Juliet. So what happens? Well, Pyramus and Thisbe kill each other for love. That is, he doesn't kill her, he kills himself. She kills herself. So she sees Pyramus dead. She comes in, line 321. Asleep, my love. What? Dead, my dove. Oh, Pyramus, arise, speak, quite dumb. Dead. A tomb. Tomb and dumb would rhyme in Shakespeare's day. Must cover thy sweet eyes, these lily lips, this cherry note. Lily lips? Lips are supposed to be red, not white. This cherry nose, that would imply he's a drunk. Okay? These yellow cowslip cheeks, so he's jaundiced. Are gone, lovers make moan. His eyes were green as leeks. Oh, sisters three, come to me. With hands as pale as milk, lay them in gore since you have shore. And so in some productions, with hands as pale as milk, lay them in gore. She puts her hands in his blood-soaked side, and then raises them up. Why? Because that's often what happens in tragedies. Lady Macbeth, that's a pretty good example. It's an out damn spot. So she says, "Come, trusty sword, come, blade, my breast imbue." So she stabs herself. Well, what did Pyramus do when he died? Go back to line 293. The pap of Pyramus, aye, that left pap. Thus, where heart doth hot, and stabs himself. Thus die I, thus. Thus means Thus. You stab yourself pretty much once. You're not going to be doing it again. Now am I dead, but he's still speaking. Now am I fled. That means my soul has left my body, but the body's still jabbering on. My soul is in the sky. Tongue, lose thy light. Moon, take thy flight. Now, die. 5 of them. Die. Okay. Demetrius, no die, but an ace for him. That is talking about 2 dots on a dice or a single dot on a dice. So Thisbe does hers. Adieu, adieu. Theseus, Moonshine and Lion are left to bury the dead. Demetrius, I and Wall too. Bottom, comes out of, rises from the dead. No, I assure you, the wall is down the parted. And then shall you hear Bergame? No more, please, Okay? So, they all leave. Puck comes on. Ooh, only have 2 minutes. Puck delivers his little final speech. Oberon, take it back, not his final speech, not the epilogue. Oberon comes on, and Oberon says the fairies are going to do what? They're going to trip through the house and bless all the marriages. So that all of these couples have what kind of children? Wonderful, beautiful, happy, well-adjusted. Okay? And then Puck gets to the audience the epilogue. If we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme, no more yielding, that is having no more repercussions or consequences, but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. Gentles, he's literally, in a sense, addressing the people in the seat, but he's also addressing the people in the ground, in the yard, the groundlings. What's he doing there? He's leveling society. He's equating all of them. Do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. That is, we will fix it. And as I am an honest Puck, and if we have unearned luck to escape the serpent's tongue, that was the boo in Shakespeare's day, we will make amends ere long. What's the whole import of his speech? Go back to Theseus. It was our intent to please you, not offend you. If you are like Theseus, and you take our intent, give us your hands, he says. Give me your hands if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends. You'll wake up from your dream, and nothing will have happened. Okay. Well, as you like it next, I believe. Exam due